What's happening, guys? Let me adjust these a little bit. Make sure this is all good to go. Can everybody see me, hear me? Anybody in the chats? Some people starting to pop up in the chats. Can you guys hear me? Everything good? Just want to make sure before we get started. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not entirely prepared today. Grab my list of stuff to talk about just in case. All right, cool. What's up, Robert? Everything good? Cool. All right, guys. So this is Retic Radio episode number 17. Today's going to be a good show. My buddy James is coming on. James Galbraith of Smiling Jim's Constrictors. I've known James for a while. We've chatted quite a bit, done some business. He's got some very cool projects. So I'm excited to bring him on today, talk to him about everything that's going on in his breeding projects and collection and all that. So let's get it started. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. So there he is. What's up, buddy? How are you?
How are you guys doing? Good.
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. It's been a while. I've been wanting, you were on my list, and yeah, been wanting to get you on.
When you said I was on your list, I was like, wait, what? Me? I go, why does anybody want to have anything to do what I say,
Well, dude, we were, when I was doing it before, and then I took that long hiatus, you were on my list of people I wanted to have. I have a huge list in my notes app on my phone.
Yeah.
Of everybody I want.
I was bugging you quite a bit because I listened to it on the Spotify at work. I'll get tearing into an engine or something at work, and I'll put it on. I think I listened to the Aubrey one probably about 50 times.
I was gonna say, you told me you always sending me snapshots of, hey, I'm listening to this one again, or I'm driving home, I'm listening to this. When are you gonna drop a new one? And it was like a year of nothing, and life, dude's been busy. But so I figured, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try to do it again, and I'm not really gonna keep too much of a schedule. I mean, I've been doing pretty good. It's been like every week or every other week I've been dropping one. So I think if I can at least keep that momentum,
it helps put a name to like Leon and I have been chatting here and there. Yeah. He works for GM as a mechanic. I work at so we kind of been chatting, after that fact. You know what I mean? So I feel like it kind of helps bring some of the community together. You see this stuff on Instagram, but you don't know who's who or who's what But sometimes this kind of, helps connect people, kind of builds that bridge between two people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's even like on Facebook and stuff, you see people's profiles and stuff, but I don't know. I have a heart, I definitely feel like I know people better after I do a video or see them on videos a lot, or doing on YouTube and Instagram Reels, stuff like that. Yeah. Pictures, I don't know. For some reason, I have a hard time connecting pictures with people in person, like at Tinley or any of the shows. People come up to me and start chatting, and it's like I feel like I know you, but I don't know you, But whereas if it's a video, I see them from pictures and stuff. But if I see a video, I feel like there's a better chance I'm gonna recognize you a lot better. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited though. I'm glad to finally get you on, and I mean, I know a lot of the stuff you got going on, and you got quite an awesome collection of snakes. So, I guess let's just start. From the get-go, what got you into reptiles, or I guess how long have you been doing reptiles?
So
give yourself your intro, and then what branched you into retics, kind of, you know what I mean?
So yeah. So I started breeding bearded dragons when I was 13, and hustling them on Craigslist. I had people showing up at the house. My parents were, like, what the hell's going on? And I'd be like, oh, there's a guy coming to the house, and he's gonna buy this and that, and back then my mom kind of, funded the project. So when I'd sell, a lizard for like $80, she'd be like, all right, well, where's my 70? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, I've been paying for the power. I've been paying for the bugs. And you know what I mean? So she kind of taught me that business, side of it. But so I started with bearded dragons when I was 13, did that, branched into the boas, did that for a little while. My first snake was actually a red-tailed boa. I had her for... She was probably about 17 years. I had her, and then she had a bacterial infection that she got. That was just kind of I guess it kind of happens sometimes with boas. They get like the red spots on, on their belly and stuff like that. And sometimes some of them, I guess, from what my vet said, he's actually was at my house a couple of times, just looking at the collection because
Mm-hmm.
I have the Asian water monitor, I got the retics, I had berms, I had the blood python, so I have a lot of random stuff at the time. So he would come by and do the kind of a courtesy check because you can't really bring. It's kind of a pain in the ass to bring a big retic into the
Yeah.
vet or things like that. So uh, yeah, it's kind of a fluke thing. So that kind of sucks. I did the ball python thing for a long time. That's kind of what got me connected, I guess, with the retic people because I started doing shows. I met, funny, I'll kind of talk about my first couple of shows I've ended. That's kind of what really sparked the
Yeah.
retic. But at one time I had about 300 ball pythons
God
that I
damn.
did. So I know a lot of the ball python community. I still follow it. I still watch what Justin and Ozzy are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's Balls, those guys. I kind of keep contact with what they're doing on the background.
Yeah.
So my first show I ever did. My background is, I'm a mechanic. I was assistant manager at a Les Schwab. It's like an independent tire shop. They
Okay.
don't have them out where you guys are out, but they go to like Utah, Colorado,
Okay.
Idaho, like that way, West Coast. So I was a manager, and I had a customer come in and, found that my manager told her that I, had snakes and stuff. So we started chatting. Well, luckily she actually put a show on. She was a promoter.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was a real fluke luck.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up vending. I sold 14 freaking snakes. Like, made a like ton of money for being just
Yeah.
like a pop up show. And then I was hooked. And so I met. He's kind of like a brother of mine now. But Jimmy Cruz from Ball Life. He did a lot of stuff with Freedom Breeder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you saw him at shows at Tinley with a
Yep.
big eye on the back of his
Yep.
head.
Yep.
So he
I
really kind
remember
of
him from the videos, Freedom Breeders videos and stuff.
yeah.
That when
So
Brian
he
Cusco was doing their videos and stuff.
For
So
sure. So he took me kind of under his wing and he got me in connection with Pomona. So I don't know if you know the Reptile Super Show. You and I've
mm-hmm.
talked a little bit about you trying to make it out there, but
Yep.
um so he got me to vend. So my second show I ever vended was Pomona.
Damn.
And so
And this was just with ball pythons though, not retics
yeah,
yet.
I hadn't gotten
Okay.
into the retics yet. So my wife told me for a long time, she said, no, no giant lizards, which I've, worked that off. No big snakes and no venomous was like those
Yeah.
were her three rules. So I've gone to shows. I've said no to berms. I've said no to retics. I used to watch your guys' videos like back in the day with you and Shane,
Oh yeah, yeah.
young bucks, like down
Yeah.
at, Jay's place and things
20
like
years
that.
old or 23 years old,
Well,
man.
there's one that I just actually had popped up the other night when I was cleaning, and it was like you, Shane, Lauren Morales, I think was there. I
Oh, that
think
was when we went
Travis
to
Kubik. And you
Travis,
guys,
yeah.
yeah, you had Twinkie like this,
Yep.
all stretched out. Jeff Kelly was in
Yep.
it, and like I was like, dude, that's crazy to see all those guys like
Yeah.
in one line. Like, who would have known like where you guys were from?
Siavash, when he was a little kid, when he
Yeah,
was like a tiny little kid.
it's like who would have known where you guys all went to?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like back then, you're just a bunch of young
Yeah.
kids, But
Yeah, it's wild, dude. That was so long ago. That was an awesome trip, man. That was such a fun trip.
So I go into Pomona and I'm stressing, like, because it's my second show ever. Like, the animal's heated, ball pythons. I feel like, you look at them wrong and they start freaking sneezing. They're not like
Yeah.
retics. But so I'm all stressed out and I get to my table. We got there late Friday night. So I set it up Saturday morning. So I get there and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, being my second show I've ever done. It was my first show I ever had displays. The first show I ever did, I just threw the deli cups out, ordered some
Nice.
online, did it simple like that.
Yep.
So I borrowed some displays from a buddy and my wife is like poking at me and I'm like, what? She's like, look up. So I looked up and it said Jim's House of Retics right next to me. And so I looked at her and she's like, you're not getting a retic. And I'm like, we'll see about it. And so like, it kind of went, and so I met Jim Jolly. Jim was probably my first mentor when it came to retics. I learned a lot from Jim.
Mm-hmm.
I had retics before that. I started keeping them, really like actually having them when I was in 2008, but I got rid of them due to like, moving and you didn't have space for them and that type of crap. So he, was talking and stuff back and forth. My wife really liked the cow stuff. So it's funny, he would joke after, years later, he would start mooing at the table.
That's
to
funny.
try to get my wife to like, like he'd be over there mooing. Yeah. So every now and again, like when we'd see him at shows before he, packed up and went to Thailand,
Yeah.
uh, he would start mooing when he walked by, just as a joke, because like an old school thing.
Too
So
funny.
I ended up getting two animals from him within a short period of time. I got my big platinum tiger head anthrax from him.
Nice.
And it's funny, my wife told me, no big snakes, but she held that animal. I mean, she'd be doing homework, sitting on the couch watching TV. She'd tell me to go get her. She would never pull her out of her enclosure or anything like that, but I go get her. She's like the only animal that I trust, like with my kids. Like, I pull her out and stuff,
Yeah.
in the room. I don't ever walk away, but I can pull her out and let her cruise around and the kids can pet her and they can, she's just that, like, I feel
She's
like we
that
all,
chill. She's that friendly.
yeah, I feel like all of us have that one animal in the collection that's,
Yep.
you can trust, like you don't fully trust, but, you can
Yeah.
let.
If there was one, you have that one that's definitely like your ambassador animal or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And so that Pomona, we did great. Then I went to later that summer. I started doing more shows. Later that summer, I ended up going. It was Anaheim, I think it was, or maybe it was when Pomona was still in the summer. But I met Jeff Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember watching Jeff Kelly's videos. When I was looking into it. I mean, I remember following it back when Jay Brewer had $100,000 breeder packages and shit.
Yeah. When Garrett was putting together those for him and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember watching YouTube and stuff back then, things like that. So I knew Jeff. And so we were just at a bar drinking one time and I kind of bumped into him and he and I started bullshitting. And ever since then, he and I have been, good friends.
Yeah.
So between Jim and Jeff, those are pretty much like, I would say my number, like 1 and 2 mentors type of a
Yeah.
deal. You've helped me out a lot, with just questions about, stupid things that I run into. I kind of, am on the nation a lot, but I always go to bat for Bob. Bob's always helped me out. He's always made it right. Anytime, I've ordered an animal and, he ended up, something that he did really cool is I ordered a Motley Pied het purple male, is kind of what I could afford to get in that project. I have a hard time. It's, I'm like Jim Hardesty of, Paragon. It's like, I love it all, but I can't have it all. So
I'm the same way, dude.
Trying to focus is like I try to focus on like I have like 2 or 3 like projects that I'm really like this is what I want to do, double triple recessive stuff, that's what but it's hard for me to like I'll see something like Bob popped out of OGS Super Tiger Sunfire Super Tiger or something like that,
mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to buy it. Like I didn't have any like plans for it or anything, but I'm just like that's a badass snake, and I called Xavier and Xavier's like yeah it sold. Like
but that's like all the guys. I mean, I see guys post, even just not even the huge guys, even like all these guys producing, everyone's producing awesome stuff. And it's like, man, that's like a crazy example of whatever. And it's like, man, I don't need it, but God, I want that. There's just so many cool snakes being produced and can't have everything, unfortunately. But
so, I kind of went down that rabbit hole. I started, Jeff started really helping me, Jim. I bought a bunch of animals from both of them. I got stuff from you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back in the day when I was just googly-eyed, it was all, purple albinos and the Retic Ghost genetic stripe stuff, which I've actually produced those. I actually, I kind of talked about that, but my buddy had a pair and he wasn't able to get them to go. So he sent them to me and he said, hey, if you can get them to go, you can use that male for, I have a tiger anthrax that I want to do the genetic stripe Retic Ghost to is a kind of a project I really
Ghost genetic stripe to, what is it? Anthrax tiger.
Tiger anthrax is the female, yeah. But I do want to, down the road, like I have that platinum tiger anthrax. I do have other plans, but I was trying to talk about more of like, near future, type of a deal.
The ghost anthrax stuff's awesome. Like I would love to have everything anthrax. I just can't start another project, but the ghost anthrax stuff is very nice looking. They're incredible snakes.
And like Travis Warren has done like such a good job with that, so I try to watch his like videos of like, putting Motley in it or trying to bring back that original ghost look, that real like white head, real light out, but so I watched that episode that you did with Travis quite a lot. I listened to that a lot. But
the one me and Travis did, you said?
Yeah. So just because I respect his, his project, that, and I've actually, when I produced those, I called him and said, hey, what is a good price point for these? Like, what are you, what's this market kind of like? I kind of felt Travis out just because if somebody's kind of in that project and that's their thing, I don't feel like it's right for people to, step in and like completely undercut them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it kind of shows the respect of at least reaching out to kind of talk to them. Like, hey, what do you think
yeah,
I made XYZ? What should I price them at? What would you price
yeah,
these at? And it kind of helps everybody out instead of just coming
yeah.
in and
And
$1,000 under what someone else is just to
yeah.
make a sale.
And
Like,
he told me, he said he's just straight up said price him at $3,500, and he's like, if nobody hits you on him for a while, then I'd go, down to like 25 and feel it
yeah,
out. I'm like, all right.
yeah,
So I had him at 35 for a long time, and I put it at 25, and somebody messaged me and bought the female, which now I'm kicking. I should have kept the female because I was thinking about some stuff I wanted to do down the road. I'm
yeah.
like, shit, I should have kept the
It's a good
female.
female to have. That'd have been a good female to
But
keep back for sure.
so, but I know how to make another one. So
Yeah. So I guess I've always wondered where, because if I remember correctly, you were never. It wasn't always Smiling Jims, right? Didn't you
no,
rebrand it? What was it
yeah.
again beforehand?
So it's Reptile Gyms, and I can go
That's
into it a
right.
little bit. So
I was gonna say what was, because it's a unique name, and I guess I've never even asked you what was
yeah. So
the
the
reason for
logo,
the change.
yeah, I'll explain the whole process. So I was Reptile Gym. That's what my parents called me all the time growing up, because I was always in the creek catching,
Yeah.
like where we're at, it's like garter snakes and, alligator lizards and crawfish and stuff like that. Um, so they always called me Reptile Gym, so I kind of adopted that. But where the Smiling Gym came from is long story short, is my mom passed away when I was 22 months old.
Damn, I didn't know that, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Once I like tell the story,
Damn.
people are like, man, you ended up the way you are after all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, when my mom passed away, my dad's brother's daughter, so like his niece
Mm-hmm.
came out. So my cousin, she came out and helped. She was 21 years old. She came out and just like she was like pretty much my mom. Pretty
Yeah.
much, she like replaced my mom to help my dad. I'm out in California, so being, at that time, it was better than it is now financially. But,
Yeah.
he was a carpet salesman, he was a car salesman.
Damn,
So,
dude.
so he had a side hustle. So, and he was a DJ.
Oh shit.
So
That's cool.
him and my mom had a really good ear for music. So my dad started a DJ company, and his nickname was Smilin' Jim.
Okay.
So that was kind of his side hustle that helped, throw in some money to the family and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So when I got in from the ball pythons, everybody, those Reptile Gym, everybody knew me at the shows. I kind of put a lot of hard work doing a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife kind of got burnt out. She's like, you still going to these things? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to, you got to be consistent for people to build that,
Build
that
your brand,
relationship.
build your
Yeah.
name, build your brand, and yeah,
And
absolutely.
it paid off when I did transfers. So when I started doing the retics, and I was like, I remember telling Jeff Kelly, like, I'm selling all the balls, I'm doing the retics. He's like, what? He's like, you're nuts, dude. Ball pythons sell. Like, why would you
Yeah,
do that? Then I told him, I was like, I just don't have the passion anymore, dude. I go,
yeah,
I spend more time with my retics, and at the time I had like 4 or 5. I was still, growing my collection. And he literally just said, all right. He's like, I want to sell them all. You know what I mean? Because he's
yeah,
done a lot of shows, and retics aren't it's definitely a small niche. So when I did the branding, I had a customer one time, one of my ball python customers, drop off a snake, and I held it, and then I shipped it to New York for him because he had, he was stressed out moving, and I'm like, dude, I've shipped, hundreds of snakes. Just bring it to me. I can ship it to you, no problem.
mm,
So he told me, he's like, I'm a web designer. So if I do logos and all this stuff. Like if you ever need anything, so I'm like, yeah. And I kind of blew it off. Well, I started thinking about it, and I wanted to do some sort of change when I did the retics. I mean, I wanted to,
yeah,
everybody knows me, so I feel like I did it right. Like I told everybody, like, hey, the name's changing. I'm gonna say that, save the same account, so all the followers and everything are the
yeah,
same. So I kind of prepped all my customer base for this change. I prepped
yeah,
them at shows and everything. So I chose Smiling Jim because my dad. It's kind of an honor of my dad, and I technically am a junior, I guess, in a way.
yeah.
My family is kind of confusing, but
That's
um,
pretty cool, though.
yeah. So
I did not know.
my dad passed away when I was 5 years old. So
Holy fuck, dude.
yeah, and so that's kind of it was pretty traumatizing. I mean, not to
Yeah,
be too much
goddamn.
into it, but yeah, I found my dad. So being 5 years old, finding your dad on the couch in that way, it
Damn.
was rough. So when I got to this, point where it's like, all right, you know, I found something I really care about. You know, at the end of the day, it does help,
Yeah.
pay for stuff for the family here and there, So I wanted to try to do something to kind of honor that, honor my dad and all that stuff that he did. So I honored, I took the name Smile and Jim and I put constrictors instead of retics because I have berms.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Jim Hardesty a lot. I kind of want to get a rock python. I've always wanted one.
Nice.
So I've been looking. Jim says like I love the anacondas, but I'm like I don't know, dude. Like
They're cool, man. They're
I
cool.
like the rock python is something I've always wanted since I was little, and so
Yeah.
now that I've had the experience with the retics and the berms, and I'm like, now I think it's I have more knowledge now of what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome,
so
dude. I
just
did
kind
not
of came
know.
out of that, and so I told my guy, the logo guy, I said, hey, I want something classy. The logo, I wanted something that's like you would see on a cigar, that type of feel.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Indianapolis Colts fan out here in Cali, which is kind of weird, but I am. So
Blue and white.
yeah, that kind of I know that's a rough.
Your logo is one of the cooler logos for sure. I remember like because we obviously started talking before when you were still Reptile Gyms, and I remember when you switched, and I really liked the new. I remember you showing it to me like this is the new logo. What do you think? I'm like, dude, that's badass, dude. I really like it a lot. It's a really cool logo.
A lot of people liked it, and like I've always been with the Reptile Gyms. I always take care of it, like when I was at Les Schwab, it's like if you ever have a problem, you just take care of the customer and you deal with it later. So I've always kind of, if I had an issue, I took care of it. So I built a really good reputation. And so with the retics, it's I feel like everybody's got their own belief, but I feel like if somebody can listen to a good mentor and they are willing to learn and they understand the reptile and not try to be stubborn and like, this is how it's supposed to be, but learn as they go. I have a lot of customers that were ball python people that have gotten retics and they've, it's a lot of work as a seller. Like you put a lot of time. I'm sure I'm sure you've had customers over the years, but those are the most rewarding people because I get messages and updates all the time.
Yep.
And they're super stoked. Like the animal's in a great situation. They play with it all the time because it's way more entertaining than their ball pythons and stuff like that. I had a customer that she fell in love with the Motley GC at a show. She held it. I let her hold it like all day on Saturday. She came back Sunday, and I was really nervous. I told her, like, hey, this isn't the animal for you. And like I was really trying to, but she's
steer her away from it. And
I did everything I could, but she's like, I really want this animal. Like, can we do something? She's pretty local to me. She's about an hour away.
Okay.
So, I had it priced at, a pretty high price for, the GC Motleys. That's kind of like in my show circuit, that's kind of my bread and butter. And I guess people love the GC Motleys that I produce. So she came over with her boyfriend. The boyfriend held it for a while. And she's like, can I get this animal from you? And I said, yeah, not a problem. I go, but I want you to contact me and I'm going to teach you step by step, how we're going to do, like what cage to get, how to enter the cage, how to do this and like do that.
Yeah.
She is in an apartment complex and like that snake is like royalty in that apartment complex.
That's
like
cool.
She carries
you set her you set her up for success. You kind of showed her everything and taught her everything, and that's the way it should be. That's what we all need to do as breeders and sellers, And
so my hardest thing is, I might get some hate from it, but if we act like these animals are so dangerous and they can't be handled and they can't be worked with, which some people, I feel like, people go down two channels. It's like these animals are amazing and great. Oh, these things are crazy. You can't, you shouldn't own them or whatever. But if we have that mind, then you're closing your market. You're closing that, that animal's, understanding. So like, my belief is, there's definitely people that should not own these things. I've told people no. I've not sold stuff to people, but people drive cars every day, and a car is really dangerous. But you make responsible choices as you're driving down the road,
right?
And you're safe. So that's the same thing I think with the retic. It's like
it's a fine line. It's a fine line because they on one side, they do make awesome pets, captives, whatever you want to call them, right? They're not hard to take care of. They're awesome. They're interactive. They, they're impressive. They come in crazy colors. Like, they're awesome. They eat usually, no issues.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I mean, they can fuck you up pretty easily. And I mean, they do have that danger. It'd be like like a 16-year-old, driving a Ferrari or something. You know what I mean? Like, do you have some that I'm sure will respect it, what it is and what it can do, and then you have the other ones that are going to be doing 150 through traffic, driving like an asshole. They can be great.
It's a fine line, and I feel like as breeders and as sellers, like you and I at 15 years old, I mean, I think you said you had a tiger.
I had a tiger retic retic at 14. I had an albino berm when I was like 10. I had alligators. I mean, but I think I'm the minority. I don't think a lot of kids my age, 14 years old, 15 years old, are having giant python. I mean, my tiger, when I got my tiger at like 14, and I got rid of her when I was like 18 or so, because I was getting into the car. Yeah, it's probably like 17, 18. I was getting into the car stuff. But she was big. I mean, she was 16, 17 feet. She was a sweetheart. But I mean, how many 16, 17-year-old kids should own a 15, 16 foot python?
And I don't,
you know what I mean?
For sure. And that's what I'm saying. There's minorities, but I'm saying like the common people is, there's people out there that shouldn't drive. There's people out there that they should stay in their house in a bubble. Like, you know what I mean? But there's the general people that with the right mentor, the right respect for these animals and understanding of what they are capable of. You know what I mean? A lot of the times that I see like people that have one snake, like one retic, like you had that one that was super friendly. You were geeked out. You probably held it all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's super friendly. It's super chill. But when you let your guard down, you know what I mean? Something can happen. I had the girl that I got from Jim. I had a normal girl that my buddy gave me because he was just too big for him to handle. And then I had a lavender tiger. I still have her. I posted her. I think I've sent you a picture. Well, when she was about 15 foot, she was going in the cage, and I went to she started coming out, and I just kind of put my hand to kind of push her back in. Just not even. I wasn't paying attention. It was a mistake on my part, and she grabbed my hand and wrapped up my legs. So it's like she came out of that cage quicker than you can believe.
Yeah.
But listening to Jeff and Jim and what I did, it's just like I remained calm. I waited, kept her, made sure that she didn't completely wrap me up.
Yeah.
And I was able to get her off. Now that's the only situation that I've been in that's been like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And anybody else at that situation, they probably would have panicked and flipped out, and the situation got way fucking.
Could have been way worse, 100%.
But I tell everybody, don't go out and get an adult retic. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's probably the worst. That's the worst. And I mean, I see it a lot. I mean, I see it at local shows I've gone to where people are buying these sub-adult, 9, 10, 11 foot retics as their first retics. And it's just, it could be friendly. But that animal at a show too is cold. Usually you get that snake home, warm it up. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different animal. I mean, I personally it's hard for me to say you as a younger kid, 15-year-old kid, you shouldn't have this snake, because I was there and I've been there, and I didn't have people tell me no. I kind of proved myself, and I had a good mentor even at 15. I had Jim Gaspar, Jason's dad, who helped me a ton. He was the only guy. And I mean, I've talked about it before. Back then, it was the forums or the mailing groups, dude. And I was the youngest dude on there by far. I mean, they're all 20 to probably 30 and older, right? And I'm this young 13, 14-year-old kid asking a million questions. Nobody would give me the time of day. Everybody was like, dude, you don't need a retic. You're going to die. The whole deal, right? Jim was the only dude that actually helped me and talked to me and helped me and gave me advice. And because I mean, whether they were going to help me or not, I was going to get a retic. It was on my, and I'm glad Jim did. Yeah.
And that's what Bob did when I got my first tiger. And my first one was a tiger. And I got it from Bob, and I had so many questions. I made mistakes and stuff. I got a list of shit I did that I shouldn't have, but Bob guided me through the whole thing. And, I call him, and he'd be like, yep. And he would just answer my question, and, I'd move on. But he was always there to assist me and help me with anything I had. And then I met Jim and Jeff, and it just that's where my knowledge really grew.
Yeah, for sure. So. Well, let's chat. I'm curious. So what was your first, or I should say, How many years in from keeping did you produce your first clutch, and what was that? What was your first pairing of retics?
So 2020 was my first clutch that I produced.
Okay.
It was, I have a big, it's like, I've sent you pictures. I've sent a bunch of people pictures in the industry, and I'm pretty sure it's a Jamp for sure. I think
Mm-hmm.
you might know the one I'm
She's
talking
big.
about.
She's big. Yeah, she's a big animal, right? Isn't that
She's
that big
big,
girl?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like probably 17 foot or so.
She's got a weird. She does got like a. I don't even know. It is. It almost looks like a Jamp weird locality look to her, but she's
Yeah,
huge.
I heard that it was like Jamp Slayer or whatever, but
Yeah,
you know,
she's a pretty
I have a
snake.
I have a funny story. She's the track star. So like when I'm not like, she's not intimidating. It's just like when you get her out, like it reminds me of some of Weston's videos where he's
Yeah.
like, like going like crazy and trying
They
to
just
work
want it.
with.
She just wants to run.
Oh yeah, and she just
She
wants
just
to
wants to
move,
run.
get into shit and move. And so, she actually threw my back out one morning when I was at Les Schwab. Luckily, she went into her cage. Like it's like I was holding her and I was trying to get her in, and like my
Yeah.
feet was planted, and she turned real quick, and it was just that sharp, quick, turn. And it's like I just kind of sat down and I just like guided her in her cage, and she went in, and I reached up and kind of shut the glass.
You're like,
And
oh fuck.
yeah, but I mean, she's totally fine. Like she's never like come after me or anything like that. She's never the first she has her name's Iris. I got her from Scott Bolter, and it's funny. Garrett Hartle's actually seen her, and they measured her, and she's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. She's super energetic, but that first like 2 feet from her nose to like 2 feet back is like her territory. You touch
Yeah.
that, she freaks out. So it's like
Really.
that's like her, like her no zone, I guess you want to say. But so my first pairing was her, and I bred a lavender Motley GC Super Tiger. And so, I did that just to kind of, try it out, see kind of, can I sell these, that type of deal. Um, and so I was doing a lot of shows at the time. And so I was,
Yeah.
really, I wanted to try to produce some stuff that I didn't want to produce normal. So the Super Tiger, I produced some tigers in it and stuff like that. That was in 2020, and she laid 63 eggs.
Damn.
So I did, that was the only pairing I did that year.
That's a
Going
big
from,
clutch. That's a big
yeah,
ass clutch.
it's a big clutch. So then in 2022, I bred her again, and she laid 69 eggs. So that's pretty much
I
like,
think that's my record. Mid to upper like 67, 69, somewhere in there is like my biggest.
yeah.
That's a lot of eggs. That's a lot of babies.
And that's, I did that, and I had those, I did shows and stuff. I had some pet stores out here.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of when Jeff Kelly wasn't, I think he was done. So that was like kind of a
Okay.
big producer out in the area, that was doing shows. So he kind of was, I don't think he was breeding. I think that's the year that he moved.
So it's
I
pretty
can't
much
remember.
just you then for in your area then, right?
It was me and Jim Jolly.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, Jim probably was he's slowing down at that point too, probably, right? Was that about 2020? I know
I think he was slowing down. He was still producing.
Still
some
producing,
stuff,
yeah.
but not like what he was. I mean, he was producing a lot of numbers for a while,
Yeah.
because him and Jeff were the only guy really in the circuit, in our
Yeah.
show circuit that was doing it. There's I forget his first name, but Gideon. He does a lot of the Motley Pieds and the Pied stuff. His last name. I've chatted with him here and there online, not really, but just like, comment a nice animal type of a deal.
Yeah, he makes
And then
some nice stuff.
there's another guy. Yeah, his pied stuff's off the chart. I messaged him a couple of times looking for a pied, but there's Mike Keck, MK Retics.
Okay.
He's out near me, but they don't do shows. Mike will come to the show and kind of hang out with me a little bit. But as of like, active retic breeder, when I go to my shows, I'm the only one. So
Brandon Gideon, that's who it is.
Brandon Gideon,
I was having a brain fart on his first name too.
Yeah, but he's, he does his own thing. I think he focuses on the pieds is kind of what, I can see. We haven't really ever chatted in person or anything, but
his pieds are legit, dude. I don't need to add any more pieds, but that was one of those where it's like, man, I don't need one, but I really want one of them super Motley pieds or whatever, Motley GC pieds, whatever they were. Those things were off the charts cool.
I have a purple Motley pied that I got from Bob, and that's like one of the things I was telling you about Bob. I bought a Motley pied that was het purple, and he messaged me and he goes, "Hey, my guy sold that male. And I'm like, all right. I go, do you have another one? He's like, no. So he upgraded me to a purple Motley Pied
Yeah, that's
visual
cool.
and just sent it to me. So
That's cool.
yeah, that was neat. So that's how I got that male. But so yeah, so I produced that clutch, and then I just ever since then I was just hooked, and I
Yeah.
tried to, I tried to feel it out and kind of see how long, it took to find homes for those in my area. And I'm trying to be responsible about that. But was it the 22? I think is when I think I produced 4 clutches total. So that was like my biggest, and that's like for the amount of shows I do and the online morph market presence, that's kind of like my
Max.
yearly. Yeah, it's kind of like a
What
sweet spot.
how many shows are you doing roughly a year, do you think? Like total shows? Because I'm sure you do some shows, right, multiple times a year or whatever. It's probably
Yeah,
smaller shows.
so total shows like weekends where I was vending, I was probably doing 15 shows a year.
Oh fuck. Okay, that's quite a few.
So, that was at the peak. Now I haven't produced a lot of stuff. I've stepped back with the
Yeah.
economy and stuff. I've been kind of doing like messing around with the auctions and stuff. I
Yeah.
have, I have customers that message me all the time, like, hey, you have this, you have that, and I just like, and I'll refer them to. You kind of always have high end shit, but I'll send them to,
Yeah.
Jim. I'll send them to Jim. I'll send them to Bob. People that I know that produce some, pet quality entry level type. Not entry level, but
The lower
stuff.
tiered stuff, the couple
Yeah,
$100 animals that are kind of
yeah.
more, yeah.
But if they buy it from a good person, they have a good experience, then they grow their, knowledge, and then down the road, if they have a good experience, they'll come back
Yeah.
to you is what I kind of, so, but yeah, I mean, I have some good
That's
customers that followed me from the ball python world into the retic world. And I mean, like I said, they message me all the time, and they,
yeah,
I,
that's cool.
yeah,
That's really,
Jim taught me is, if you sell confident babies that are, easily handled and all that, your customers will have a great experience. And then you have an animal in a good situation, and then you have
yeah.
a happy customer, and it just sets you up it sets your animal up for success and your customer. So
Mm.
that way you don't have nothing,
Well, and your
bad.
customer service, having the customer service, that's like
Yeah.
the cherry on
Yeah.
top, right? I feel like you got to
Yeah.
have good customer service,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I got that little TK from you, that little TK female, and like your box, I messaged you right after, like, dude,
Yeah.
your shipping box presentation was awesome, like
Yeah.
very
I try
good.
to,
I mean, as a snake guy who's opened a lot of snake boxes, I mean, yours is
yeah.
up there as one of the nicest presentations by far, right? It's not the typical just
And
crumpled
so,
up newspaper,
yeah.
whatever. Like it's a legit, it's a very
Oh, I appreciate that.
experience, I want to say,
So I kind of brought that with me from the ball python world. So like if you buy like snake from a higher end guy, in the ball python
hmm
industry, you get that presentation when you open the
Yeah.
box. You feel like you're like, it's from this guy type of a deal.
Yep.
And there's not many people in the retic world that really do that. I know Garrett
Mm.
Hartle has his kind of presentation in his box, but a lot of
Which
times
is
you
as
get,
cool. I really like
yeah,
Garrett's myself too. I think Garrett has an
it's
awesome.
it's
It's an
unique.
experience. It's a very unique thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to do that without copying something. So that's why, I try to really, the logo, I have the, the thank you card in there.
hmm
I put stickers in there.
Yeah.
You actually helped me with the custom IDs for the snake. So now I take
Yeah.
that out of the
Yeah.
tub and I throw that in there. So they have, because you'll get it. I do it with you. I'm like, hey, what was that pairing again? When was it
Yeah.
produced? Because I forget.
Well,
So I just throw the
yeah.
card in there.
You know what though? I mean, it's a good thing. Like, I mean, I've seen stuff from other guys, not even retic guys, ball python community
Yeah.
guys, as far as like the cards on tubs, or and I'm I'm not very OCD in my life, like my regular life, but with my snake stuff, my wife, she rips on me all the time because she's like, why can you not be more organized and OCD when it comes to like this shit?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not. When it comes to the snake stuff, dude,
Yeah.
water bowls have to match. They have to be on the certain side. I got to have all the same
I'm the
tags.
same way. I don't.
Dude,
It drives me nuts.
I don't want to be like that, but I guess it's
Uh-huh.
good that I'm like that.
Yeah.
But but I mean, even as far as the shipping box stuff, not to cut you off, I try with like the newer guys or the people that I like are buying stuff from me that are not like my friends. I try to do like the hatch certificate. I do the business cards, the thank you card, the receipt. If I ever get shirts made, I'll start throwing shirts back in boxes, but I've been slacking on my shirts and trying to get custom. I want to get some custom snake bags made, and I want to get some custom snake tape. I've even looked into like designing my own boxes, but that's big money, dude. I don't feel like spending. I don't sell enough retics to justify spending the insane amount on boxes.
This last year, I mean, I lost when I did or not last year. I mean, in 22, 23, like I said, I did like 4 clutches, but I mean, with retics, I produced quite a bit of animals.
Yeah, that's a lot of animals.
But I spaced it out. Jim kind of taught me how to like space it out. You want to do like something with non-albinos, albinos, and you kind of space it out, or clutches that produce both, and you got to have it, spaced out throughout the year. You don't want to get hit with 4 clutches, bam, right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So luckily in California, Jim kind of taught me a method that kind of works for me. But I look back and I mean, this past year I shipped out 100 boxes with Morph Market. So
it's not bad, dude. That's just shipping.
Yeah.
That's not even what you've moved at shows. So I mean, that's not too bad.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that and I try to make myself very like, I have rescues in the area that message me, if they have a big retic and stuff like that. So I try to make myself, because I'm a breeder and I'm putting animals out there, I try to make myself open and keep a cage open, type of a deal. So that way I can give back to the community of, homing an animal. I've actually, I've had animals given to me that, like my big phantom girl. I think I posted her quite a bit.
Yeah.
I got her. The guy told me, you can't handle her. You need gloves. She's out to get you. She's aggressive. All this stuff you hear.
Typical stuff, yeah.
So I got her and I kind of, I picked her up, held her out. I'm like, if I get bit, I get bit. That was before my Asian water monitor ripped open my fingers. So that's a different story. But
yeah.
So, I picked her up. I handled her a little bit. And I just realized I'm like, she just needs food. Like she just needs, so I put her in a bigger cage that she was in. And I have, Jeff Kelly and I were doing the pigs together. He handles all the sales and stuff now, but I have a pig supply. So
yeah,
I fed her. I mean, I kept her belly full. At first I kind of did it slow just to let her, get used to getting hydrated. Yeah, just getting past, make sure she was passing stuff, making sure the, poop and all that stuff is looking normal. And then I just turned up her food. And, then I moved, which when I moved, it kind of threw the animals off a little bit, still the same state, but just I moved closer to the ocean. So I don't know if that kind of threw them off a little bit. But so, I mean, I feed her, I have a chicken, where I get chickens from, and then pigs. So I do chickens, pigs, and I have rabbits here and there. So I do a good variety of diet, but I fed the crap out of her. And I think I've sent you pictures. I posted stuff on IG. I've taken her to birthday parties and stuff.
Yeah,
and people handled her. And
she's a big snake too. She's not a little animal. And I think too, with that, like you said, the feeding is huge. And I think it's probably just the confidence. These snakes are not dumb. I've seen people and talked to people, and the snake might freak out and snap at them out of they're hungry or whatever. Instantly, that snake is aggressive. You can't handle it. People are scared to touch it, and the snakes pick up on that. They can kind of sense your uneasiness.
And that's what I was talking about. Like, it's like if you have people that don't understand the animal and what state of mind that thing's in. I watched a lot of Aubrey's videos of, with Shane with the monitor, how you work with them. I mean, I think, the monitors and the retics are very similar, I think, in their brain, the way they can pick up on stuff from what So I feel like it's all about your presence. Like I have one animal. I only have one, maybe two. I have a male tiger titanium that every now and again I had him chase me down to my room one time.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with my buddy and I kind of jumped a little bit and it kind of made a girlish yell. But it just startled me for a second. But I mean, he kind of came after me and he was bucking a little bit, arching in the tub and I was cleaning him. So, he was just a breeding thing. But I, put him back in his cage, let him cool down. Once he went back on food, I went there to clean him and he's cool. And then I have one female that's a golden child, double het purple pied that I got from Bob. And she's just, you can tell she's just scared of humans. I mean, it's just, I've worked with her. She's getting better. But you can tell she's just scared. So like, I understand that when I go to handle her, you know what I mean? It's not like she's not aggressive. She's not just mean. You can just tell she's fearful, but like she's slowly gotten better. But like you're saying, if you put that in the wrong hands, it's just a recipe for a disaster.
Like I got one of the female tiger triple het Indo ocelot anthraxes that me and Aubrey did. He had a female that one of the extra females he sent me. She was big. She's bigger. She was bigger than my holdbacks at the time when he sent her.
Yeah.
And she was a sweetheart. That whole clutch was. You can ask Aubrey. That whole clutch was pretty. They were pretty defensive, man, as babies. Mm-hmm. Some of the most defensive little baby retics that I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And dude, they're still like most of them are still. Some of them are starting to come down, but a handful of them are still pretty crazy. But this female was a sweetheart when I got her. After I don't know a couple weeks, man, she like just slowly. Well, not even really that slowly. She kind of turned. She is by far the most aggressive snake in my collection now. For whatever reason, I never did anything to like grab her behind the head, or anything really. I don't know what changed. She will, dude. I'll have to send you videos. Like she S's up. She musks. She like if I try to hook her, like dude, she bolts out of the cage. I've had her fly, and she's not huge. I mean, she's like 8-9 feet.
Yeah.
Dude, she flies, lunges out of the cage. She's on the ground. She's she's up off the ground, mouth open, striking at me. I touch her. She whips around. I mean,
that's all over the place,
dude. She is. I tell everyone, dude, she sucks, dude. She's
that's
such
how that
a
golden
handful.
child was. That's how that golden child was. And
It's
slowly just, she's getting better. But
I've tried, man. I had my big pair of welding gloves from when I had my monitor. I tried to do a hoodie, dude. She's to the point now where even when I grab her, like put my arms way out, she still, dude, could almost get me in the face. And it's just like, I just think she's never going to be. Yeah. She's just never going to be. I put her in a bigger cage now in an area where there's a little more high traffic in my room, and she's not hitting the glass as often as she was. But you could, dude, she kind of flattens her head out and she kind of looks at you like.
Have you tried like? I mean, I know you. I mean, you have more experience than I do, but putting her in like a higher cage or a lower cage. Have you tried that?
I have her. So I kind of still have her in the middle cage just because that's easiest to work with, right? So, but I gave her. She's in a taller cage now. I'm going to see if that does anything. I don't know. Maybe it won't because she was in a 400 for a while. So I put her in she's in a, what is she in? She's in a 6. No, I lied. She's in a 422 right now. I'm getting ready to put her up into a 6-foot cage just to see. The only problem is the 6-foot cage is shorter, but I'm wondering if it's wider. Maybe she'll have, I don't know, dude. She's a tricky snake, man. She just doesn't like people for whatever reason. It's just weird how she like turned because like Aubrey had her and she was sweet when I got her, dude. You brought her to me at Tinley and we're at Tinley behind the booth handling her and she's dude up on my shoulder and got her home and she was super chill. I'm like, man, awesome. Like finally get one of these that are actually chill and handleable because the other ones I have a male that
just turns on you,
dude. And like I said, nothing. It's not like I grabbed her behind the head or something to stress her out. It was just she just switched. There's a brother male, and he's almost as bad. You can't handle him. He tries to run, dude. So I think some are just, that's how they are. But those snakes in the wrong hands, man, that is just a recipe for disaster. Like
I give props to the old school dudes, man, where everything was like wild caught and shit. Like,
I had a few of them, and I had a Sula that wasn't bad. And then I just had some wild, normal. I don't even know what they were, and they suck too.
I think it's pretty cool that Xavier is pretty lucky. I mean, he got to learn how to handle him from Bob Clark. You know what I mean? It's like
you're kind of set up for success with that.
Yeah, you're gonna learn all the tips and tricks on how to do it.
So someone wants to know this guy fight predictions. What's your thoughts on Genetic Stripe?
I love it. I have one female that's in the breeding group, and I just don't really know what to do, with it. That's why I'm going to do that, Retic Ghost Genetic Stripe to the Anthrax. Because didn't Travis produce some of those?
Retic Ghost.
Genetic Stripe Anthrax or Het Anthrax?
No, I don't think he made Retic Ghost. He made, what did he make?
Lavenders.
He made Lavenders, and then he make Mochino or Mochino Sunfire. He made like 1 or 2 Mochino Sunfire Genetic Stripe Anthraxes.
I love Genetic Stripe. I try to work with what I like, because I'm going to have to clean it and I'm going to have to take care of it. So, but I do like when I'm going to pair something, or if I'm like, hey, I want to make some stuff, I do it off of what people ask me about,
Yeah.
And I do have people ask me for like, oh, are you going to have any purple genetic stripes? Or are you going to have any lavender albino genetic stripes? And I'm like, I don't have anything to make them, and I'm not going to go buy animals just to make them because I know there's people out there, but I think there's definitely a place for it. I think it's something that was kind of I don't want to say a lost cause, but you don't really see a lot of them out there. But they're a super pretty animal. I mean, it's.
When I got my first genetic stripe animal I got was way back. It was I don't even know if you know him. The guy's name was Greg Bryant from the Retic Ranch. So
I remember hearing the Retic Ranch
yeah,
back in the
dude,
day, but I don't remember his name.
super old school guy. So I don't even remember. So he did like some Slayer genetic stripe stuff and Sun stuff. So I got a genetic stripe, just a normal from him. I don't even remember if it was Slayer blood or not, but she was, man, at the time that was like the hot thing. They were, dude, and I think they're beautiful. They're awesome snakes. She was pretty big. She was 13, 14 feet, I think, when I got rid of her. But it's a harder, and then I hatched some cool, I made Platinum Phantom genetic stripes, and I made Sunfire Phantom genetic stripes. Dude, they're awesome snakes. It's
pain in the ass to get eaten.
They are, and you know what? And Gavin at the time, Gavin was the guy that like made a lot of genetic stripe stuff when I started making mine, or not long after, or before I made mine. And him and Travis and these guys were like, just wait till you hatch them. They suck to get started. And I'm like, dude, no, they're not. They can't be that bad.
Travis gave me some advice when I had mine. The only thing that I could get them to eat was like mice hoppers, something that would jump around, the cage and kind of piss them off. That's the only thing I really had luck with.
I actually put mine in a smaller rack. Like I had a little like a 6-quart. I think they were 6-quart shoe boxes, and they were dark. They were not clear. They were like the gray ones. So they were very dark. I left them in a small tub, and I didn't even try feeding them for a while. Like they hatched. I didn't even try offering them food, for, man, after that first shot, it was probably almost a month, before I even tried to offer them. I let them like get hungry. And even then it still was a pain, but it wasn't, I don't know if it has something to do with offering it right away and they just get so freaked out and they just like, I'm not going to eat, but I did have some that never ate, and I won't force feed anything, so I did have some that just eventually just croaked because I don't know. Unless it's like a 1 of 1 or something that's like, oh my God, I need this animal. Like this is the 1 in 120 plus odds that, I'll try it. But I've never had good luck either with having to force feed stuff.
I had one. Drive. I think I've had 2 retics that I've done, and it was, in the clutch, it was like they're one of only in that clutch. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to see what I can do.
Try.
And I would do the rat tail, the jumbo rat tail. Yep. I did that a lot with the ball pythons, and that worked. I hatched, out of all the ball pythons I hatched, I mean, I had years where I was doing, 35, 45 clutches of ball pythons.
Damn, dude.
And
that's so many.
I never hatched a twin. Never. Last year, I think I was taking pictures. I had 2 sets of twins.
Yeah.
One set didn't make it, and then the other set both did fine. You know what I mean? So it was one of them. I mean, they came out small. I mean, it was like they looked like almost like, I don't want to say corn snake, size, but I mean, looking at them compared to their siblings, it was like, damn,
crazy how small. Curtis says we should start an underground association to get more. Dude, that'd be. Did you see that? There hasn't been the pictures yet, but that guy, what's his name? Luke. Oh my God. Luke over in Scotland, he proved out that labyrinth. You ever see that labyrinth retic?
No.
Dude, there's been a few of them. I think Karsten, had some over at Fila Retic. And I don't know if they got them in Mexico. Somebody got one. But this guy Luke's got one. Dude, it's cool. So he got one. I think he's had it. The post I read earlier, it was like he's had it for like 4,000 something days. So 11 years or something. And no one that has them, since there's a few wild caughts, no one's been able to reproduce it. Well, I guess he's going to go live with Nathan and Lucas on the Retic Lounge, I think this week, and they're going to talk about it. But apparently he produced them. He proved them out. It's a genetic thing. Dude, I'll have to send you the picture that I saw on the Retic Nation. I think it was Retic Nation they posted about it. But he's got a picture of him holding one of the babies. You see the side of it?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really striped out. It's a super striped out, aberrant looking snake. It's really neat. So
that's cool. That's one of my favorite. I got Burms too, and that's one of my favorite. One of the favorite.
Burmworth.
Is the labyrinth, but I don't like the albino. I like a hypo labyrinth is my favorite.
I instantly, as soon as I saw that snake was hatched, I'm like, dude, that in like an orange glow or an Indo caramel, dude, is going to be beautiful. It's going to be such a pretty snake, but it's pretty cool to see.
The first purple Aztec I saw, I think it was like that same picture everybody saw. You Googled it, and it's like the first one that pops up, dude. That
Jacob or Jakub's, yeah.
That was nuts.
Those are. I'm excited to see those people start making those here. I'm surprised. I'm sure Bob's can't be too far off. He might have already made them.
I think he's got Mochino. I think
he's got Mochinos, but I'm sure purples are not, because I think he's got 100% het purples. So it makes me wonder if he's made purples and is just waiting to drop them. But it'll be cool.
I've heard he waits on it.
yeah. The Aztec stuff's cool, man. That female I got from Nathan is really pretty. Like, I know a lot of people shit on the Coyote Jeanette blood or whatever locality, which, I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's a cool snake, and I mean, still be able to do cool stuff with it at some point, down the road. My thing is,
I gotta try to be somewhat responsible and not have everything. I said,
it's hard. It's hard.
I got 44 retics and the 4 berms that I have, and it's like trying to manage that plus it's funny. I'm a technician, and I was at Kia for a long time that you knew of, and after the kids and the wife go to bed, I go clean snakes. So there's multiple nights I'm 2-3 hours of sleep a night, just trying to keep up.
Yeah,
I enjoy it, but I remember there was a Friday morning, I'm sitting down, and one of our advisor comes in. She's like 22 years old, and she's like, John, I'm tired, to my boss. And he looks at me and he kind of chuckles because he could tell that, I was like, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
And he's like, James, he's like, how many hours you on? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, how many hours you on to sleep? And I go, what, tonight or this week? And he goes, this week. And I go, fuck, maybe 16. And she's like, James. And I'm just like,
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I was actually just talking to Leon the other day. I'm like, dude, I kind of, we go through those highs and lows, and I'm kind of at that point right now where I kind of am at a low, and I'm like, man, I'm just burnt out. The snakes are burning me out. The kids, it's starting to become summer, right? So I want to do more shit outside. I'm starting to do stuff around the house, and I work's crazy right now. Leading up to summer is my busy time at work. I want to get my Camaro out and running. And it's like there's a lot of shit I want to do. Like, I don't want to be sitting in the snake room, but you have to. You have to come down here. You don't want to. Like, I'm down here. Normally I got my music jamming or a podcast going, and I'm just slinging snake tubs, but I'm like down here and I got my shit going. I'm just like, man, fuck, I don't want to do this right now. Like, I got so much other shit. I'm beat.
And that's what I was talking to, I mentioned it to Garrett today too. I was like, all the the drama and all the talking and all this stuff, and like Jim Hardesty said it too, is like, when do you find the time to do all the bullshit?
You'll find it, dude. I mean,
it's just,
here's the thing:
the talking, like that's my biggest thing is like, I feel like the louder people are the ones that should probably be cleaning more.
I mean, to an extent, I don't know. I guess I'm very vocal, right? But personally, me, like, I'm very vocal. Like, there's a lot of times I don't say shit, but there's also times where I'm like, I feel like I have to, right? I feel like, especially on the nation, it's kind of evolved into like my group in a way, right? Now, like, Gavin's gone and Shane's gone.
You're in a different position.
And it's like, I have to be vocal, and I think I need to be vocal as like the admin for that group, and there's a lot of bullshit going on, and if nobody says anything, then the bullshit continues, and it's like
that would burn me out the most. Not so much like working with the snakes, but that stresses. I'm done just because of that.
It stresses me out, dude, and it's like, I get it, right? This assholes on the internet that talk shit, but it still bothers me. You don't want nobody talking shit about you. It's like I'm trying to do the best I can, right? And it's like people, no matter which way, like with the Garrett shit, right? It's I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. Someone's going to be mad either way. And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck because I know my friends support me. My family's here. It is what it is, right? It's life.
And, it's funny. Like, I'll read stuff online and people saying things, and, Weston always talked, I've talked to Weston quite a bit. I sold him pigs and stuff over the, a few times, and, Weston's and I've, chatted here and there, not all the time. And, he's always talked about Paul Lucas, and I never knew who Paul was. And I kind of, I've talked to Paul. He's, I've asked him some questions. I always treat myself like I'm a rookie. Like, I don't know anything, and I talk to people. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But I like to hear what you say, what Aubrey says, what Paul says. Yeah. What does Weston do? Because we all change things. We all learn things. We all adapt.
We all do it differently. So
it's funny, like, I'll, be, most of the time, sitting on the throne, and that's when I kind of go through Facebook and I'll look and I see stuff and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I look down in the comments and Paul takes care of it. He chimes in and says something. So I'm just like, to let Paul take care of it.
Yeah. Well, Paul's he's very, mean, he can get his ideas out very easily. Like I feel like he gets it out written out on the post really well. I'm so bad at that. I feel like my brain works too fast and I can't get my shit out on line quick enough. And it's just
I can't. I can explain something. And my wife and I, the biggest thing we fight about is I'll say something and I'm like, wait, that's not what I meant. But like in my head, I see it different than I say it. But I just think it's funny. Or just like, Weston, when he's on his, Instagrams and Paul pops on, is like, man, you're a handsome man. Like, I start busting up laughing. I think it's hilarious.
I mean, you gotta have some enjoyment out of it. What, I mean, I think I know your answer to this, obviously. Pied I mean, I'll be honest, like I love the pied retics, especially the mid to high whites, but I also think the pied berms are beautiful. Now, part of me wishes, and maybe we'll still see one, is I would love to see a pied retic get found that actually has the normal retic pattern with the pied pattern, like the pied berms and the pied balls and all the other stuff.
In that question right there, because I can see it, I think the pied berm wins because you get the pied, you get the Burmese pattern on the pied, coloring, like you would do, like everybody else, The retic pieds though are I mean, I like them both. I have them both.
I just look at it like
favorite.
My pie. Like now, if we're just comparing a normal pie to a normal pie, then I think the berm will win. But I mean, like my platy tiger pied females that are really high white, dude, when they fire up the blue, like the blues that are on there, are unreal. It's like a hypo, it's like hypo blue, sky blue. Yeah. That's a hard snake to beat.
Yeah. I mean, I think like a white-headed retic pied, is really pretty, especially when it fires up and it gets that silver blue. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just a normal one too. I had a male from Jim Jolly. That man, when he fired up, it was incredible. But he actually, when I moved here, I lost him, but didn't lose him. But he passed away when I moved. He got just something in the move. It happens. I feel like, but it sucks.
Curtis saying he's going to try a caramel pie to a filetoa in the next couple of years. Good luck, dude. I wish you nothing but the best. Those are so fucking hard to do, man. The bats and the jungles, nothing but a pain in the ass, dude. It sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get it done. But
I've had a couple of people ask me at the shows if I'll do, ball python, because I have, ball python experience, I guess, breeding to like the, the retic or the berm. And they're cool. Like, I think they're neat, but it's not something I really want to underdo.
I'm going to try it. Now that I got some of these ball pythons. I'm going to try it.
I remember you reaching out to me. You're like, do you know a big ass male?
I'm still looking for a female. What are those ones? They call them the balls. Voltas. I still want to find a big female Volta ball that I could, or just some big female something that's.
Reach out to some of the old school guys like Graziani and some of the guys that have been around a long time. They might have some of that blood.
Or just a big female that has one or two incomplete dominants. Just something. I want to try it. I because everyone always posts that picture from Nerd of the ball retic, and it's like that's not what that is, dude. It's not. Yeah, people get so mad, like, you don't know what it is. I'm like, I do know. I've been to Nerd. I've seen that fucking snake in person. It is not a fucking ball.
Kevin and Garrett DeMeyer and those guys, just reach out to them and see if they have a big ass female.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have one laying around somewhere.
Yeah, I'd like to try it.
The biggest ball python I had weight wise, I think it was like 4,400 grams.
That's pretty big.
She's a big bitch.
I gotta weigh the couple I got and see. And I know they're not that big, but they're. I'm just curious. I want to try to breed them.
It was I want to say it was a het clown or a het genetic stripe. She was massive.
Yeah.
I fed her a large or extra large. Large. It was a while ago. Guinea pig, and she ate it no problem. She was a beast.
I'm gonna try my bat female again this year. I've been feeding her pretty heavy. I thought she would have tried. So I got her to lay, but it was all slugs. She was. When I got her, she was kind of small and underweight, and I had to put some serious food into her. And I put males with her, never saw a lock, nothing, right? Nothing. And then she kind of went off food. Like she still wanted, I shouldn't say she went off food. She just was not very food motivated, but she did eat. And I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And then one day, dude, I come downstairs and she was like full mid ovulation, looked like she ate a goddamn beach ball. I'm like, no, and I reached in, dude, rock solid. I'm like, no way. Went through all the motor. Dude, went through the prelay, did everything. I was actually out for a coworker's like 25th birthday, and I had a camera in there because I'm like, dude, she's gonna lay. Like she was spot on doing everything she should do. We're like, I'm at the bar. It's like midnight here. I've already had a few beers, and I'm like, oh my god, she's laying eggs. And in my camera, from the way the angle was, I'm like, they looked legit. Like they look good. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. I fucking took off, came home. They looked great. There was a few that looked like shit, but I'm like, oh my god, these actually there's some good ones. So I waited till the morning, and I got up, and she was all beehived on them and stuff. And dude, every fucking one was bad. There was like 48 or 49 infertils. I was like,
damn.
And then it was like the next, and it was not the day I pulled them. It was the following day or 2 days later. She kicked out a random one. Like there was one just sitting in the cage when I went downstairs. And I candled it, and it had veins, like random. But man, it was not ice cold, but it was cool. I put it in the incubator. It lasted like a week, and it died. I'm like, fuck. That's such a goal for me. But I'm kind of the point where if it doesn't happen, I think I'm going to have to part with that. I think I'm going to part with that bad eater. I want it to happen so bad, but it's like such a kick to the balls. You know, they're just so hard to make. The jungles. I just want to make one, but I love all that hybrid shit.
Yeah, I've heard, the berms, it's like when they ovulate, it's just massive. Like it's way bigger than like with the retics and stuff. I've never seen it personally. Like I said, I'm raising my but yeah.
Well, the bat was huge. This was one of the biggest ovulations for a snake that size that I've ever personally seen. It was ginormous. It was so bad. I walked by and I thought she was bloated and like died. That's how humongous she looked. And I was like, no way. And then when I turned the lights on and she was there, she was fine. I was like, fuck, man. But it's crazy too. I mean, look at all like everybody shits on, like not everybody, but like Shane with the Timors, dude.
Yeah,
that is such a cool fucking project, man. Yeah, I'm so excited for him. Those snakes in person, I haven't seen the new babies yet, but like, dude, those snakes are so kick ass, and I love that it's like. It's way more successful than the bat eaters. Like it seems like obviously those are closer related species, but dude, like it doesn't seem in the way that the morphs transfer over. Man, is it cool?
Those are cool. I mean, I see a lot of Shane stuff, and it's like when those popped out, I'm like, whoa, those are neat. Like I know I got that special look to them.
I got to get over there and look at them, but he's like, dude, he goes, and it's crazy because he's like, they do kind of. Some of them act more Timor, some of them act more. Retic, which is wild. Especially he said the new babies, they're only like 12.5% or something like that. And he's like, dude, they act. Some of them act like a Timor, the way they just move and crawl and perch, which is wild, dude.
Which one are you bringing home?
I'm not. As much as I would love to get one, dude. I go there and he says, take this one, then maybe I would, but I don't really need it. To be honest with you, I'm kind of tempted to be like, tell him to take this bat eater and try to throw one of the Timor crosses to it and make like a tribrid, some weird tribrid type of a thing. But
Shane would probably do it.
I would love to see somebody do it. I mean, it would be cool, I mean, he's got some less animals, so it's my problem is I have a lot of stuff, dude. So it's hard for me to focus on more than just a couple animals. And I have so many other pure retic projects that I want to do. That the bat eater project or the jungle project is high on my list, but there's other stuff I want to. You
need to focus on that hypo stuff that I got.
Yeah, it's in the works, man. We're trying, just waiting on the female. So
I got that platy tiger, double het purple hypo from you, and she's freaking pounding food.
Yeah, that's like I said, me and a buddy are going to do a project, so it should make some really good stuff that would go with that female very well, hopefully. Yeah, but it's hard, man. All that double recessive, triple recessive. That's the thing. I have so many of the triple hets, that Aubrey and I did, and then I got the double het purple hypo stuff. I have a handful of those, and I got the double het.
You're gonna be looking at a lot of normals for a while.
I got a lot of the double. I cut back quite a few of the double het hypo anthraxes. So it's a lot of. But it's it's one of those things that's like I don't want to get rid of them all and then keep a pair, and then something, God forbid, something happens, and then I don't have one. I'd rather kind of keep some back and have some backup just in case. And then once I make visuals, then I can move some of those extra animals out. So it's just kind of the name of the game. Got to cycle through those snakes.
Well,
but
it's crazy. Like when you work, like when I was doing the ball pythons and you work a project like that, I mean, you got to keep a lot. You know what I mean? Well, with the retics, that's it's a different mindset.
Well, and then it's
You
just
can't.
it's the odds game, man. Like the double. I mean, I've never even tried to make a triple recessive yet, right? So it's like Travis, man. The fact that he hit that triple, right? It was the Moschino, Anthrax, genetic stripe. Yeah. So the fact that he hit it and with not really a ton of eggs, I don't really think there was.
Yeah.
Like in my double recessive project, I've talked about it a handful of times with my blonde Anthrax stuff. Like, dude, it took me 2 years of breeding, 2 breeding seasons, and like 60 eggs to make one visual blonde Anthrax.
Yeah.
Just fucking crazy how the odds work, and then you could have somebody do the same breeding and make fucking 5 of them. It sucks. I just have shit odds.
For the longest time, my favorite retic ever, and I've told them this, was that purple Anthrax that Weston had, or still has, I think.
Yeah.
That thing, dude. I remember seeing the videos and posts of that. I'm just like, oh my god! Like
that snake was produced by John DeMiglio.
Okay.
That's the mom. I have the mom to that. That's the female that I use to make all my OG Anthrax stuff is the mom to that purple Anthrax. She's huge. She's big, dude. She's like 18 feet. She's giant. She's like this.
Yeah.
She's a monster.
The tiger Anthrax that's here, from Jeff Kelly. I've been feeding the shit out of her, and Jeff's like, "Is she cycled yet?" I'm like, "Dude, she looked like she was going to," and then all of a sudden she's back on food eating again.
Yeah. It's been a weird year, man. Like, at least, like, I don't know, for me, that's what I was just I was telling Shane or Aubrey. I'm like, dude, I'm kind of like getting discouraged, and I think that's part of why I'm getting discouraged. Is like, dude, everybody's got eggs, and it's not everybody, but it seems like everyone's, dude, I can't get nothing to breed right now. Everything is still slamming food, and I don't know. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I still have a handful of babies left to sell, and with everything being busy. But fuck, man, I need to make some shit, man. I got some snakes I wanna breed, but it'll happen.
I mean, I got some stuff planned. Like I sent Jim Jolly, a list of all the pairings that I have, just written down.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Damn, you're gonna be hella busy." And I'm like, "I'm not doing them all. This is just like if that girl cycles, I know what I'm gonna do." You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't breed, every single animal that I have isn't, a goal to breed, but I have certain ones that, if they cycle at the right time where I don't have anything else or whatever, then I have a male in mind, ready to go type of a deal.
Absolutely.
So if the situation, presents itself that it fits right. So
we'll do like one more question. What is the, cause we've been on here an hour and 15. What is the, what's the one project I think you're most excited for to do personally for you? Like something, it doesn't have to be this season, just in general. What's like one project or your most excited project?
I mean, probably the Retic Ghost G-Stripe Anthrax stuff. That's because it got me into the Retic Ghost. So when I first saw it, I mean, that's really what hooked me with the retics. Like the purple albino was cool. But once I saw the first Retic Ghost, G-Stripe, it was just like, I think I saw Retic Ghost Super Tiger first, and then I saw the G-Stripe or something like that. I forget exactly, but the Retic Ghost stuff is, it's, you don't see a lot of it out there. It's kind of a, I've been talking to Xavier about Retic Ghost Pieds. I guess him and Bob produced one, but it didn't make it in their incident that they had, But
I think they made the one, and I think Ryan Sullivan made one of like before them. Okay. And I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know if it ever died or from what I heard, there was some issues with like him and somebody did a breeding loan, if I remember correctly. And there was some shit that went down, and then I don't know if the snake died, but it sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say Retic Ghost stuff is like if I had to pick a specialty type of a deal, that's kind of my, direction, I guess, but it's kind of hard for me because I try to show respect to the people before me. And so that's kind of Travis's bread
and
butter. So I feel like if you handle the situation respectfully, and then you'll have, like a mentor in it instead of like
well, I mean, and like you said, I mean, it shows a respect to those guys that are working that project and stuff. And I think it helps in the fact that if you were to reach out or you do reach out, it kind of builds that relationship too. Like, cause I know if somebody came to me with a project I'm working on, it's like, hey, I want my opinion and stuff. And hey, what do you think about this or that? It's like, oh, well, that he's actually coming to me and asked for my opinion. I respect that. And that definitely helps build that relationship for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the purple OGS stuff is Shane's. I actually did my first. It was really cool. I posted that girl. I had a female OGS. I bred to a purple Motley GC son, and that clutch actually just hatched. It was a small clutch, 15 eggs, so perfect. Perfect
Nice.
amount. The GC Motleys in that clutch came out. They haven't shed yet, but they're black. I mean, with that het purple, hogs. I mean, they're black, and I love the black snakes, and it's one of those things that it's like looking like the pricing nowadays or with that project. It's like I know Shane's if Shane's got his animals and stuff like that, it's you buy it from Shane, you're gonna get a different price, but it was pretty cool when I posted that picture. Shane commented and said that was that's a really pretty OGS. So that was kind of cool. That it's like I'm starting that project from a good example that I feel like was a good example, but also the person that leads that project also
notice that it's a good animal and it's a good start to your project with it.
Yeah. And I took a long time trying to find one. I actually got that one from Hell Creek. I remember calling you about it. Remember that? I mean, I was at a show and I called you and asked you a couple questions about some stuff. And it was just too good of an animal. And, at that time, and I was like, I didn't really want to spend the money at the time, but I was like, when you find an example of what you're looking for and what you like, it's hard to, pass it up.
Sometimes you got to sometimes just nut up and spend that money, if it's an animal like that you really need or want, or, you have to. You just got to make it happen. But cool, man.
So those are kind of my, projects. Is just the Retic Ghost OGS stuff I really like.
Yeah. Retic Ghost OGS will be really cool, I think. Retic Ghost OGS. I'm just thinking about it. Like that'll be really interesting to see.
I think you got to think nowadays. You got to think of out of the box stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to do so. I got a blonde Phantom Tiger male, and I'm gonna try to breed him. I think to my GC cow, and just make some GC. Make some, and she could be platinum tiger.
Yeah,
she's got a bunch of genes possibly in her. So I kind of want to try to make a blonde OGS. I don't know. It might look like dog shit, and I know blonde is not very sought after, and I like the blonde stuff, man. And I lost my blonde pied project, so and dude, the blonde anthrax project's kicking my ass. I can't get the big female to cycle, so I'm like, maybe I'll try to do some blonde OGS or blonde cow. Blonde GC cow might be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? Blonde.
Sometimes I feel like is you can start a new direction or a new path by thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. So I might try it and see, just because I don't know what else I'd want to try to breed to that big cow I got. So I thought about doing hypo tour and try to make some double het OGS stuff. But I'm like,
I think it'd be cool. I mean, to see something different, you never know.
It's a long project too, but I really don't want to do more double recessive. I got to do some. I want to make some visual stuff, right? Some visual cows would be cool. I haven't made cows in a long time, and it could be neat. So I don't know. We might try that.
One of the pairings I did do, we'll see if she goes. She kind of was acting still kind of on food, but then she went off food, then they locked up. But just a GC cow pairing. I had a bunch of customers asking me for them and stuff like that, and I didn't see a lot on the market, so then I went ahead and did it, and then now there's a few that are popping up online, so it's like whatever. But
what's your opinion on the Jag stuff? Do you think you could breed the wobble out?
I don't. I've never done a Jag pairing personally. I remember Jim on your podcast was saying that Motley kind of helps pull it out. I have a lavender Motley Jag that I got from Jeff Kelly, and she's fine. But when I go to feed her, when they get that excitement, then you really see it. But I mean, she's a pretty good example, I would say. I mean, I've heard stories, like I've heard you talk to some people. I've heard other people saying that they've had them like really bad. But the one I had is pretty good. I mean, I had the plan originally was I had a lavender Motley Jag, and then I have a lavender Motley male, and they're both het anery.
Okay.
So I wanted to try to make some Motley Jag snows was my original plan with that, but I kind of like some of the Jag anthrax stuff.
The Jag stuff is cool, man. And so I had one of the first, or an animal from, I think it was the first jag clutch or the second jag clutch that my buddy Andrew had. He got her from Ozzy. Ozzy got her from Kevin. She was big, dude. She was over here at my house. She was huge.
Yeah.
That wobble on that snake was so horrific, like
Really?
horrific. Yeah, it was unbelievably bad. So then he finally took her back. I ended up getting a sun jag from Bob. I won it in an auction, and she was okay. She had like typical. I wouldn't say it was great, and I wouldn't say it was terrible. She had the typical jag wobble and stuff, which sucked, and that's kind of why I got rid of her, because I'm like, man, I don't want to fucking deal with this.
Yeah.
And I was very jaded, and just they all wobble. I don't believe any of them don't wobble. You know, you see people say, oh, this one just has a tiny bit of a wobble here or there. And I'm like, bullshit. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine sent me, I have a purple jag anthrax female that's here now that I'm trying to get up the size to go.
I think you sent me a picture of that once.
That snake, this is the first one that I've ever seen. This snake has zero wobble. Doesn't wobble when it gets excited. She's not super friendly, so you can't like pull her out and play with her. But I'm not even joking when I say she has literally no wobble. If I didn't see this snake and have it here at my house, I still wouldn't even believe it. I would be like, there's no way. That snake has to have some wobble. She has zero wobble whatsoever. I don't know why that is. I'm not sure what the reason is. I mean, I know there's some talk too on what the reasoning for them to wobble is. I've heard it's like some inner ear issue that like messes with their equilibrium or whatever, which possibly I don't know. Could be. I know
Jim produces a lot of the jag stuff, right? I mean, and he says that
Jim Paragon.
Yeah, he made it sound like the Motley Phantom jag stuff is pretty good, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. In my mind, I would think if you bred more locality stuff into it and kind of outcrossed it, that could help it and make them more stable. And I know there's some guys that are doing that too. I think Andrew Acevedo, I think, has done that a lot. He's made a lot of I think he's got like 75%. I don't know if they're Kalatoa jag stuff, and I don't know what the wobble is on those, and it could just be, and to be honest, it could just even just luck of the draw. Some are going to wobble, some don't. I don't know I really don't know if you can truly breed them out, but it'll be interesting when I ever get this girl to breed. It would be, I'm very curious to see if the babies are going to wobble at all. So, because this girl has none, dude. Like, it's crazy.
And with that, though, like a question I have is like, if the parents are good, are the babies going to be good, or are they all going to vary?
And that's the thing too. I bet you. My honest opinion is I don't think it's going to matter. I think even if you even this female that doesn't wobble, I will bet you that the clutch, when I get her to breed, I bet you there'll be varying degrees of wobble in the clutch. I would almost guarantee it. I mean, I think it's just going to be I personally don't think you will be able to breed them out. I don't. I think some are going to wobble, some are not. There's going to be varying degrees. I don't know. I don't know how you fix that, or if you can even fix that. Really,
it sucks because the jag stuff is. I mean, some of the jag combos are just awesome. Like I love the stuff Jim's producing.
And that, I wasn't even after I had those two, I'm like, I'm done. I will never own another Jaguar in my life. They're beautiful. The combos are amazing. Like that dude that just made those orange glow jags are fucked.
Yeah. I saw
insane. And it's like, man, but I'm like, I just don't want to deal with the wobble. And then my buddy who sent this female to me, he's like, dude, she has no wobble whatsoever. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, maybe even it probably does, but if it's that minimal, I'll work with it because I really want to try to make some jag anthrax stuff. I'll try it. I'll give it another shot. She came in, I set her up, had her for a while, and I'm watching her and feeding her, and I'm like, man, she really doesn't do. She's like a normal retic. And I was like, so I remember messaging him. I'm like, you weren't bullshitting. Like, she does have no wobble. And it was crazy because, like I said, if I didn't have her here and see her constantly, I'd be like, you're full of shit. There's no way she doesn't have a wobble. But it's nuts. Those jags are awesome, though, man. There's some cool shit with those.
One thing I'm excited about those, I think I told you, I got 2 cages from Jim to try out. So the cages I got, that I was using were just fucking drive me nuts. And I reached out to Jim. I have my monitor cage from Jungle, but Weston and Paul Lucas pretty much have, Mark building stuff for them only. So there's
Yeah.
his wait time is, crazy. But I got some cages coming from Jim that I'm excited to try out. He posted that 6 foot one with the red snake and the logo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's mine. So it's kind of a
Oh,
new
cool.
design. So I'm excited to get that hopefully by
Yeah,
the
that'd
end
be
of the
neat.
week and try those out. And then I got the Wilbanks heat panels. Paul Lucas highly recommended them. So try them out. So hopefully,
Yeah.
always adapting, trying to find a better way to do stuff.
Yeah, I think I might try some of these heat panels at some point. I don't know, just to try something different. My wife and I were chatting, and we were trying to move and get a new house and this and that. But the more we're looking at just the way the economy and shit is, we may just stay here for a while. And she's I think I'm kind of beating her to the point where maybe she'll let me put up a building, an addition on my garage. So I think if that happens, I think I'm going to change some things up. Love my visions, but I may start I may go some bigger 8-footers.
Yeah.
Try to. I've kind of been playing around with some graph paper and just trying to how big I would need for X amount of cages and lay it out and see what I would do.
Sure.
And yeah, so I would like to get some jungle cages. I know they're crazy expensive, but
yeah, it was like I got a quote, to get them shipped out here with the heat panels and everything, man, and it was like $12,000 for like 5 8-footers.
It's fucking a lot of money, dude. It's a lot of money. I would definitely have to. Yeah, at that point, I don't know. Maybe I would slim down more. I mean, that would be a good time to slim down a little bit, and I don't know what to see. But
the cages I got are great, but they're not made for big snakes and retics. Retics beat the shit out of enclosures. And, one of the reasons Jim helped me out a lot, but, he has big snakes, so he's building enclosures for big snakes.
For his snakes, yeah.
So, that's...
Yeah.
So I'm praying that, they work good because, the price is good, and if it sets up... It's cool, like, the Wilbanks heat panels, I plugged them in, and the spot that, under, like, that would sit against the top of the cage stays cold.
Oh, shit.
And then the bottom is hot.
Huh. That's weird.
It's weird. Like I plugged it in. I'm like, dude, it's not.
Yeah.
Warm.
Interesting.
Because normally you worry about it heating the cage on top too much.
Like typically with heat pads or whatever under tank heaters and stuff. Yeah. Interesting. Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed by that. But Paul, I think Weston told me that he was switching some. I think, he switched a bunch over in the jungle cages.
Yeah.
Because I talked to him. I had an issue with my monitor cage, and I was, trying to figure out how to get it fixed. And Weston called me and kind of, told me how, the like Home Depot ABS glue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How to, set it up.
The proper way to do them, yeah.
So, Weston kind of helped me with that. And I was chatting with him, and then I talked to Paul. I'm like, dude, what is your opinion on these panels? Like, they're expensive. Like, is it worth it? How are you setting it up? Like, before I, spend the money. And Paul freaking, gave me his info, and he swears by him. He loves them. So
yeah, I've been if we do this and I build the addition and all this, I really might try ambient. I'm really thinking about it.
I tried it when I originally moved, but I bought different mini splits than what Aubrey recommended because I couldn't find them.
Yeah,
what Aubrey recommended. And the Wi-Fi connection didn't work. I was at work. My room was 92 degrees, and I'd have to leave work and come home and adjust it. And I finally said, you know what, screw this. And luckily, when I set up my room, I set up the heat and I just unplugged the thermostats. So I just, I set it. My room's like 74 to 77 degrees with heat in the cages. So it's comfortable to work in there in the summer and in the winter.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I keep going back and forth. I get so nervous, dude, leaving town or whatever, and ultra therms and the heat tape and the thermostats. And I'm like, man, it would be if I could. And I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing is getting ambient dialed in. If you get it dialed in, I hear it's fantastic. So I don't know, a lot of decisions, I guess, depending on which route to go. I do love my ultra therm zone. I've done it that way forever, and it hasn't failed me. So do I fix something that's not broken or start something completely different? It's the same with my visions, right? I love my visions. It's hard to get rid of those. But I'm still hoping, man, now with, what is it, Custom Cages that owns Vision, I'm still hoping that they will maybe make some bigger cages.
I messaged them because I was like trying to figure it out, and you and I talked. We're like, man, imagine how much an 8x3 from Vision would cost, But so I messaged them, and they said that it's in the plan, but
Yeah.
it's not like they couldn't tell me like it's going to be a year or it's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
so
Like,
because they
even
have to
I would
buy the
even be all
mold
right.
and all that.
I would even be okay if they went like even a 6x3 and even went a little taller. And my biggest gripe with the Visions is I hate the ribs. Like, I hate the ribs in the bottom, and I hate the dome lamps that come down.
Yeah.
Like, I love their 600. Their 600 and their 400 models are fantastic because they're flat. They got the little drop down. You can put a light on there perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, like if they could make a 6-footer like that or a 6x3 that's flat and little taller, or even an 8-footer would be crazy if they could do an 8x3, or even an 8x24 would be dope.
The ribs suck. Like if you use paper and you try to put a water bowl in there and it doesn't fit right, but I know it's for like structure and the way that they stack, but
that's what I'm hoping if they still bow.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be my thought would be maybe they can go with, because I think those are injection molded, I think is what they call it.
I think
So maybe if they go with a thicker mold or make the mold thicker, maybe they can get away. I don't know, but
that costs a lot of money though. It sounds like for the mold.
They're so fucking indestructible, dude. I love my Visions, man. Yeah. I love the fact that I could pull them out. Dude, I had one fly out of my truck going down the road doing like 40, fucking air caught it and flew up and nothing. Like I dropped an AP down like 2 steps when I was moving into my other house and cracked a big corner of it out. It was basically useless. So I don't know. I love my Visions, man. I love my Visions. But
I don't like the dome in the 632. And I talked to you about it. Like, hey, where do you put the hot? Because if you get a freaking clutch of eggs, do they weld? Do they like get stuck in under that?
I had my big purple at the time. I didn't even know she was gravid this last breeding I had when I had her, and she did that, dude. She beehived under where that big dome lamp is. And she was a big snake. She was probably every bit of 19 feet. She was huge, right? And she was beehive so high that she was basically hitting the dome lamp like this, right?
Yeah.
The shroud. Man, trying to get her out. I mean, she was a sweetheart, but man, trying to pull her out from underneath there. I mean, she's 100, I don't know, probably 130, 140 pounds. So trying to get her out, and she's at the bottom cage. So I had to get on basically my belly, reach in there and pull this snake towards me, right? With eggs. My face is like a foot from her. It sucked, dude. I was like, this is the worst, man. But it was
the worst thing I hate about retic keeping is the bottom cage.
Yeah, me too. It sucks.
Us, us fat guys, it's like, you got to get down there. It's a pain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a giant dude, so even trying to suck in my chest, fitting in through that little opening in the Vision, dude, it's so hard for me to fit in there. And I got long arms, and it's still hard for me to reach those back cages, right? I got to pull. Yeah. I got to be halfway in there, to scrub out the back. It sucks. That's something I'm definitely, if we do that, I'm going to, because I stack all my cages 4 high. I think I'm going to restructure, and I'll probably keep the Visions for a while, just because if we're spending all that money on a building, I'm not going to have money to buy new cages.
But if you go 24 inches high and do 3 cages, I mean.
Well, that's my point. Is I think I'm going to go 3 high, because I usually keep all my paper on top of the cage. I think I'm going to switch. I'll make a little shelf on the bottom where my paper can go. Stack them up higher so I don't have to lay on my belly. I don't even mind. I'd rather be higher, have to stand on a small stool and get them out, as opposed to lay on my belly and climb under the cage. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. I talk to Jeff Kelly sometimes about back in the day when he'd clean at Prehistoric Pets, and there's 10, 12 foot high cages like the Gauntlet. What I mean? Dude, it's when I was there. You've ever been there? Or no, I'm sure you've been to Jay's, right?
I went there one time, and Jay was busy, and then Tim wasn't there, and I was pretty much Jeff and them just said go in there and tell them that you want to go check it out, and they'll take you back there. Just shoot a couple names, and they'll take you back there. And I didn't want to bother him, so I just took off. I've done business with Jay. He got some ball pythons from me that were breeding, and I got some stuff from him. And let's just I'll leave it at that. So
when we went, because I went out there twice. So the second time I went was with Shane and Travis and stuff, and that was when the pictures of Twinkie and all that.
Yeah,
dude, we went down there. We got to feed stuff and climbing. Again, I'm a big dude. I had to go. The Gauntlet, those top cages had to be.
It's 10, 12 foot tall.
I was gonna say they had to be 10 feet off the ground easily. The bottom of the cage had to be 10 feet off the ground, which is crazy. I couldn't stand and touch the bottom of the cage. And I'm 6'6".
And then and they have those like little guys that are in there cleaning on ladders. Like, what happens if a snake comes flying out of there and you're on a fucking
Dude,
ladder?
and they were not, and they were not small snakes. It's not like, oh, this
No.
is a 12-foot retic. It's like, here's this giant 18-foot tiger het blonde that's this big
12 feet in
around.
the air.
Like, dude. And then on the opposite side, you'd have the cages on this side. Then the other side was the rack of baby tubs, like that were 1,000 of them. I mean, and they would go through and feed these little. It was wild. What a time! What a time!
In the podcast that you had with Aubrey, and he said that he was there for like a week, and there was a guy that was just out there burning holes in the tubs for the whole time. I'm just like,
yeah,
holy fuck! Like, just
they
that just kind of puts it in perspective.
They used the one time I went there. The first time I went there was with my wife, and we went, and this was when like Purple GC. They were like the third person to make Purple GCs. They're like $15,000. They had like a makeshift little four-sided tower with tubs on all four sides, and they were using those little like the little delis, the little like sandwich containers, right? They're only this big. They're 2 inches tall, floor to ceiling, filled with those. Like, you can't even put a water bowl in there. I don't know how the water bowl was almost the same height as the tub. So how does a snake get its head up over in to drink? I still don't understand that. But that was just one tiny little. There must have been, I bet you there was 300 babies in that little tower.
Jesus Christ!
It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. Like,
I've always wanted to go. Like, I want to go to Bob's. Xavier and Bob invited me out. I want to go. I've talked to you about it a couple of times. That would be like, a basketball guy meeting Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That's just like huge. And then another place is like Nerd. Like, just all this shit. Like,
Nerds.
Kevin is just that's
Nerds is cool. I mean, I've heard it's changed. I know he's kind of getting out of retics or moving a lot of retics, but Nerds was awesome. Bob's, I obviously haven't been to Bob's new place, but dude, Bob's is awesome. Bob's, I would love to go back.
I've seen some pictures and stuff of Bob's new place, all the white, it's like, I think they had like a local person, I guess, make a bunch of like, AP looking, plastic ones, but it's the white looks nice. Like Jim, I wanted to get white with Jim, and Jim talked me out of it.
It's so dirty. It gets so dirty, dude.
But
I had the white APs, dude. I only had 5 of them, and it was like I would never do it again.
Between you and Jim, I decided not to do it. But like, man, when they're all set up and they're clean,
if I had staff that would come down here and clean my cages, then sure, because I could. Hey, you didn't clean this cage. What the fuck's going on? Get in there with a magic eraser. But when I'm doing it, I'm like, I don't care. Like, fuck that. But if you go to Bob's, let me know. Man. Yeah, if you plan something for Bob's, I would love to go. Maybe I could fly out there. I wouldn't drive.
Because my biggest thing, I was kind of thinking about some of your questions and stuff before when you talk about, the retic or, community and stuff like that, is when I had like my ball python, group, we'd call each other all the time and talking about projects and all that stuff. And my retic guys that I had, with Jeff and Jim, they're kind of gone.
Yeah. So
there are some times where I feel the burnt because you don't have that, like, I'm not saying I do it for the relationships with their friends. Yeah. But like, how it is, like you talk about, you and Shane call each other, you guys talk about projects and things like that. It kind of keeps that fire lit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like my buddy with the ball pythons, we go back and forth. Like, he worked at Freedom Breeder. So whoever produced the most clutches, and he and I were pretty close, but then he'd pop off 5 and I'm like, dude, you can't take pictures of Freedom Breeder clutches and count them as yours.
Yeah, right.
I go, bullshit.
That's funny.
So that's funny, that's one thing is like, I do want to go out to Tinley to kind of meet you.
Dude,
Jim,
Tinley, you've been before, right? Haven't you been to Tinley before?
So I went with Freedom Breeder.
I thought so.
And Freedom Breeder took me, but I wasn't. That was before I was like into the retic games. Which
you got to come out, dude. You got to make a trip, dude. This last one was one of the most fun I think we've had in a long time, because there was like Leon had to leave, but there was. Dude, we had a great time this last time.
It sounds like Jim's a freaking hoot to hang out with.
Too. Jim's fun. Jim's a good time. I mean, we usually don't we don't go to dinner. Like, I don't go to dinner with Jim and them. We back in the day we used to, man, when the group was smaller and everybody got along a lot better. We used to all go to dinner. There was a restaurant we used to all go to. We'd always hang out and drink there all night and stuff. But like now pretty much everybody they go with their groups and they do their dinner or whatever, and then usually we all meet up at the hotel bar after. And we hang out and drink
Yeah.
and bullshit at the hotel bar, which is
Yeah,
still just as fun. But
we went to the Tin Fish, which was, I have a really bad, embarrassing Tinley story if you guys want to hear about it.
yeah, let's hear it.
So I went with Freedom Breeder, and I can, Jesse likes to have fun with people, and so they were passing around, let's just say, a nice green gummy, and
Okay.
that was all. It's homemade, so you can't guarantee what the percentage is of what is in there. So, and I dabbled with shit in high school and stuff, and we were drinking, and he's like, "Hey, you want some?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a little piece, no big deal." So Jesse gave me one. Well, I ate the whole thing, and Lindy looked at me, and he goes, "Hey, did you eat that whole thing?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Fuck." And Julie looked at me, and Julie's like smiling. I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like Jesse got me. And so I was like, "Whatever." Just I just wrote it out. We went to that Tin Fish restaurant. You know where that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never been there,
Yeah.
but I've heard of it.
It's a fancy restaurant,
Yeah.
And so we're eating and we're drinking and stuff, and I'm fine. And Jesse, I just, I kept looking over there, and he's just sitting there staring at me, like watching me.
That's
And
funny.
so we get like an Uber. We go back to the freaking to the hotel, the main hotel there, and my buddy Jimmy waited back because there wasn't enough room in the car. So I'm sitting in the back with Jesse and Julie. I'm a bigger guy. I mean, I'm 6 foot, broad shoulders. So I got Jesse and Julie, and like they're just staring at me, like the whole way. And Jesse's like, "Man, this ain't hitting this guy. Like, is he some hardcore fucking addict that
Drug
I didn't
addict?
know about?" Yeah, and I'm like, "No, like." So we get to the hotel and I sit down, which is probably what I shouldn't have done. I should have walked around and stuff. But so we're sitting there and I look over, and do you know JT from Reptile?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never met him, but he's like straight Army Ranger, like, badass.
Yep.
I'm sitting in this chair and I'm looking over. I'm like, "That's JT. That's," I'm kind of seeing it. And all of a sudden the shit hits me. And it sounds like everybody are like midget leprechauns talking shit in funny
Oh,
voices.
jeez.
And so in my head, I'm like, JT's talking shit about me being, fucked up on the chair. And so I'm sitting there like, no, like trying to, the two little
Talk
people on your
yourself out of it.
shoulders. And so my buddy's like, "Dude," he's like, "You're a big dude, but JT, like, no," like he, he'd wipe the floor with you. And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So my buddy shows up. We go into the bar, and I sit down. I got a beer, and I'm like watching TV, which I shouldn't have sat down and watched TV. I should have walked around and stuff. So I go to, like, I'm sitting in this gets fucking gross, but I'm at the table with all these people, like Aussies fucking there. I mean, all these big ball python guys when I was like in it, thick. And I throw up in my mouth and I gut that shit and went to the bathroom because I was like, I am not making a fool of myself in this fucking place. So I go to the bathroom and I like try to like, fucking make myself get rid of it, and I can't. Like it won't happen.
Oh, man.
So I walk out of the bathroom. You know how they have those butterfly doors, the two sets?
Yep.
So I make it through the first set. I make it through the second set. I'm out there and I'm fucking throwing up shit I ate in high school.
Oh, damn, dude.
And dude, the people are like fucking Tinley, like, screaming and shit. And I'm fucking just like
damn.
fucked up. So I finally, this is embarrassing. It's like one of the only time I've told another reptile person the story. So I get back inside, and my buddy's walking through the doors, and I walk in, and he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm good now. Like, give me a beer, I'm all right." And like right when I said that, dude, it came up again.
Oh, no.
And I turned back around. I made it through the first set, but let's just say the second set got some decorations.
Oh, damn, dude.
So I made it outside, and so like we're sitting there, and I'm like, my buddy's like standing, and he won't even stand next to me. Jimmy's like fucking pushing me away, and he's like, "Go away, you stink." And so we go back to the hotel, and I wake up the next day. I clean myself up at the hotel. I go to bed, and like I wake up the next day, and I was like, "All right, let's go. We got to go help Jesse's, with the show." And he's like, "You don't have to go." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm going. I ain't fucking not going." And so nobody, like, everybody saw, but everybody was kind of drunk. They didn't really know who I was. You know what I mean? At the time, or like, And so I'm hanging out with, everybody, and I set up, and Jesse's fucking with me all morning. He hears about what's going on. And so go to my buddy, like little group. It's like State 48 Exotics, Beach Bum, from Renowned Reptiles. Nick,
I've heard of those guys, yeah.
Yeah, Nick from Renowned Reptiles. He's been a tall dude. And Nick is like, he's amazing at like reading people. Like he can figure it out. And so I walk up to the group and they're talking about fucking, dude, some jackass threw up all over the doors at the hotel and all this shit. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I just feel Nick staring at me. And I look up at him and he goes, that was you, humfucker. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Like,
Like,
not
but
me. Not me.
yeah,
Plead the fifth.
so I haven't been back to Tinley
Oh,
ever since that. After that, I was like,
just
fucking
don't
nope. Not
avoid the
taking
gummies. You'll be all right, man.
it.
It'll be. You got to come, dude. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a really good time. So, hell
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
man.
make it out.
Yeah, you should definitely. I don't. October should be good. I don't know if Aubrey's going to come or not. Usually, me and him usually split a table. So we'll see. I don't know what his plan is. If not,
Yeah,
but it'll be fun.
My buddies go, so I mean, it'll be fun.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, hey, let's. Yeah, shit, man. We're already at hour and 45, almost 2 minutes. So let's. We'll wrap it up and
sounds good.
let you get it going. And I'm fucking beat, dude. So, well, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming out. We'll definitely have to do it again. I know that I had like a huge list of questions. It seems that's how it goes, man. I get this huge list and then we just start chatting and don't hit really most of it. But whatever, it is what it is. But I appreciate you coming on and stuff. And
I appreciate the invite.
We'll have to do it again here sometime. So let me I'm gonna put you backstage. Let me wrap it up and then I'll be back and we'll chat for a bit. So
sounds good.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
Yep.
All right. That's episode 17 with James of Smiling Jim Constrictors. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. That was a good episode, man. I kind of figured we'd kind of just start bullshitting and stuff. So it was a good episode. James is a good dude. So we'll have to get him back on here for a round 2 to touch some of these other topics I wanted to chat about. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know it's a Tuesday night, so not typically when we do shows, but I want to get this one in soon. I'll drop the info on the next one here probably tomorrow or Thursday. I think that one I'm going to do next weekend, I believe, or maybe it's this weekend. I got to double check. But drop that info, and then I will, I'll let you guys know what's going on. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate it, and you guys have a good one.